Prophet said, I'm an ordinary man, a mortal. Quran chapter 17, verse 94. So from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas, beginning chapter of the Quran to the end, there's no way the Prophet Muhammad performed a miracle. Okay. And so, for people who think that all this Sufism and all that, they were all mystics, certain moving on within the Arabian Peninsula, and they want to, mix it with Islam. And so, if somebody practices that, you are not a true Muslim. You see, that is it. And so, anything that you want to raise, to promote Sufism, somebody will tell, okay, bring a case, study. In Islam, any verse that you get, any hadith which does not get a Quranic bearing, we take it like that, we don't take it. And so it's not Islam. And also, we were in Somali, we were in Ethiopia, we brought about 60 Somali converts from all over the world. They were around, I think 10 years ago, Dr. Tokumbo they organized that, and I happened to be one of the speakers. And 5 Somalis came from Mogadishu. 5. And what they said was that, I said, how do you come together? They said, each week, we will come to your house and worship. Then the following week, they will come to this person's house. And the following week, they have to go to this person's house. So that they will not find them. If they see you that you're a Christian, from them, they say it's like seeing a snake. Christian, and they will stone you. And so that is how they use way around. They say, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I think we have a Somali among us. It will be interesting to hear their own comments. I'm sure Dr. Shenk will appreciate the comment of any Somali here. Yes, go on.
Yeah, thank you. My question is about Trinity. How was it easy for a Muslim to accept the reality of 3 in 1? Another question is about apostasy. Because we heard that many Muslims they came to Christianity. How was the response of other Muslims? So much. Thank you.
Next.
My question is related with the Orthodox Islam and folk Islam. You have years of experience working with Muslims, so is there really a clear demarcation between Orthodox Islam and folk Islam? At the end of my research, I just asked the question, is it really a pure Islam or Orthodox Islam? Because the Prophet himself was practicing using holy water and other folk practices. So still I'm struggling with that question.
Thank you. Last question. Okay, last.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear what God is doing. My question is, when relating to Sufi features with Christian tenets and vice versa, where is the limit so that we retain our integrity on the one side and that we don't fall prey to syncretism on the other side?
Did you hear it? Professor Shenk, you heard it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, last one. Are we going there?
Yes. In some forms of Shia Islam, they have the Sufism, and according to some sources, the late Ayatollah Khomeini was deep into that and even wrote about it, spoke about it for years and years. And they believe in a certain level of the perfect man, to where he never quite claimed it, but seemed to imply that he was. And I'm wondering in your studies if you've come across that in any of the Sufi orders in Africa, of that level of perfection where the sheikh or the saint actually speaks for God, is the voice of God himself.
Good. Yeah, thank you. I'm interested too in what's the relationship between Sufism and religious violence? Do they abhor violence, or does their deep sense of religion sometimes also fire. So, sorry, in the context of the Ayatollahs.
Okay, well, there's about 7 questions there. That should take us to lunchtime, I think. No, I would like to, if I may, defer to Professor Sane on that last question about the Sufis and religious violence. Within the Somali context, the Sufi communities are generally perceived as communities of peace. Now, there's exceptions. The Salahiyah and the so-called Mad Mullah and the 20 years of war that he instigated against British colonial rule. But that was perceived as an aberration. The Sufi communities in Somalia are communities of peace, generally pacifist. Recently, some of those communities have armed themselves because of the mayhem in the country, just to protect themselves from bandits and so forth. But they do that with great regret, because they feel that is a distortion of the Islam they want to embrace. And I know you've done considerable research on the pacifist stream within some of these Sufi communities in West Africa. Could you just make a comment on that, Professor?
Yes, I think we must distinguish very clearly between the Somali example and case, where Somali Sufis, in a sense, predominate, with the rest of the Muslim world, where Sufism is very much, let's say, a peripheral movement, sometimes even an esoteric movement within Islam, and so they have to conceal their identity as much as possible. It's also fair to say that in the broad stream of Islamic history, Sufism is not a pacifist movement. In the great centers of Sufism for West African Islam, for example, are really Moroccan in nature. Fez, where the Qadiriya and the Shadiliya movement began in the 18th century, and very quickly penetrated through the Jamal, beginning in the late 18th century and early 19th century. And these movements were not pacifist movements. Let's be very clear about that. I mean, Islam is a pretty robust religion. And if you're looking for more sedate versions of relating to God, Islam will not be the first, your first choice. So it's not for the faint-hearted. And Sufism, as I say, sort of, Uthman Danfodio is a very good example of this, who, in a Sufi vision, the vision came to him, he said, through Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, and it came to him, very interesting metaphor, as a Saif al-Haq, the sword of truth. And this Saif al-Haq was Uthman Danfodio's license, or if you like, memorandum, manifesto for jihad. So it really was very, very important for the Sufis. The problem with Sufism, if I may end with this comment, and I made this comment to a scholar actually recently in Vienna, is that Islam generates a certain moral heat. You must worship God, you must deal with God on a daily basis 5 times a day. And so this heat is there. But this God is ultimately elusive and inaccessible. And so it creates this tension. Sufism is one way of Sufis trying to reward themselves with things that the code, the Islamic code, forbids them. And then the question becomes, can Sufism succeed?
Interesting comment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm very enlightening.
Several other questions that I'll just try to note them quickly. These questions would really merit a whole day's reflection. About Shia Islam and the Ifran, meaning the mystical stream within Shia Islam. I'm involved occasionally in dialogue with Iranian Shia Muslims. The Mennonites have been invited into those dialogues over the last, 9-10 years. And this is one of the areas of dialogue we look at, mysticism and spirituality and so forth. And certainly within Iranian Shia Islam, the Ifran movement, which is their form of Sufism, is quite a powerful movement. The whole Ayatollah phenomenon, of course, within mainstream Shia Islam in Iran